Hey, good afternoon, Modexus. Happy Thursday. Hope you're having a great day. Today I wanted to talk about lift and your BMI. Now, BMI meaning your body mass index. For most of you, our body mass index is a estimation of the amount of body fat we're carrying, and some of it is excess. And I don't like to talk about fat. I like to talk about stored energy. It's just energy that we have no use for at the moment, and our body has stored it as body fat. But when we look in the mirror, sometimes we don't think of it that way. We don't think of it as stored energy. We just think of it as an aggravation that kind of wiggles and jiggles when we're brushing our teeth, or we're trying to put on a really nice outfit and go out for a nice dinner, and it's just getting in the way. So why use lift for that? Now, most people take lift in the morning, and that's great. That's an acceptable thing to do. You get a nice general sort of, you don't get a peak in caffeine and then a real drop in caffeine like you can get with coffee, because lift does have anhydrous caffeine, which will give you that immediate sort of perk. But then after that, the other ingredients kick in that have to go through your liver to create caffeine. So you get this prolonged effect over maybe 5 or 6 hours. And that's where I take advantage of lift for my BMI. So I do exercises. I exercise regularly. And so when you're weight training or doing high intensity interval training, your body isn't using much of your body fat for energy at that time. As a matter of fact, with high interval training or really intense weightlifting, you can't actually access your body fat stores in an efficient manner. And if you have a heart rate monitor that tells you how much fat you're using during those energy times, you'll see that it's very low, 10 or 11, maybe 15% maximum is, and that's usually pre-exercise and not during the exercise. So I use lift intentionally because there's really good science that tells us that a small amount of caffeine, somewhere between 120 and 200 milligrams of caffeine pre-exercise, and there's 120 milligrams in lift, so it's perfect. Pre-exercise, so a couple hours or an hour and a half before exercise, you get that effect of the anhydrous caffeine. And there's science that tells us that it will help our body access fat stores more efficiently under times of stress, meaning under times of intense exercise or high intensity interval training. So not when we're stressed out. We don't really need caffeine when we're stressed out, but when we're intentionally putting our body into a stressful situation like working out. So I take my lift prior to my exercise, about an hour and a half prior to going to exercise. I'll take my capsules of lift because I want that fat burning effect while I'm exercising, and then that long-term caffeine that's going to help burn body fat stores after I exercise for many hours after. Now, our body will naturally do that. After we've had high intensity training, our body will, as our heart rate comes down, will access those stores, but the caffeine has been shown to actually aid us in that way. Cautionary tale, if you're somebody who's really sensitive to caffeine, and you may not want to do this later in the day. If you're somebody that gets up in the morning and exercises, this is a really great thing to do. If you're somebody like me that exercises late in the day, I know that I'm going to exercise intensely, and I'm going to be able to burn off that effect of the lift prior to going to sleep that night. So you have to be a little cautious, but you can use lift as an aid for fat loss or using fat stores for energy. And there's some really good science behind that. So anyway, this is just a little, another reason to use lift, or another way to use lift. Once again, many of you just get up in the morning and take it, which is great. But if you did want to use it for exercise, it is a perfectly great product to use pre-exercise, and then you get a little post-exercise effect. So hopefully you found this video helpful and exciting for those of you who exercise. For those of you who don't exercise, I strongly encourage you to start. It is the greatest lever we can pull, exercise over any other thing, for longevity. Anyway, have a great Thursday, and we'll talk to you soon.